What's up, guys? We're episode 2. I guess Rick and I decided we're going to call it, this is going to be 10 Soldier Tuesday. We're not going to do them live all the time. We're going to bring in a guest, be pre-recorded podcast stuff for you guys. So this is our second episode, and I'm sitting here with my buddy Happy. I've known Happy a few years, and always really respected what he does. He is support your local street racer. That's his brand. I'm not a street racer, and he knows that, but we love each other anyway.
I'm trying to convert.
Yeah, he's trying to get Charlie on the streets. He's been trying to do that for a couple years, really. So yeah, we're just gonna chop it up. I'm gonna ask him some questions. I'm sure that's gonna, that'll dictate our conversation a little bit, but it'll go where we go. But man, how did you get into this? How did you get into cars, race cars? I guess specifically would be the better question, but.
Well, my dad was into Corvettes, so I grew up in the cars. But at 7, I started racing motocross.
Okay.
Raced motocross. Me and you've kind of got the same background on that, but I was on quads. I raced a lot of quads. We traveled around and done that for years from 7 to 16. I was into quad racing, but I had to have a car, and I got into lowriders. So we did the hydraulics and went and traveled around a bunch of lowrider competitions and stuff. We were trying to build show cars, but we didn't have any money. I got rid of my last lowrider. I had a 61 Impala. I got rid of it, and I got a street bike. Street racing is very heavy in the city of Louisville, where I'm from. It was really, really big at the time. It was late 90s, 99, 98, 99. I got a street bike. That lasted for a few years, but I couldn't get any races. I kind of went to the extreme with my bike. We was hustling. We won a lot. And I figured in the car world, I wanted more of a sleeper. I've always had rougher looking cars. Everybody's always seen my cars that I street raced. They were rougher. They were more of a sleeper style. We tried hiding what we were doing.
Yeah.
And, then we got into the cars, and I've just had backyard built garage cars my whole life. Got fortunate in the last 7 or 8 years to meet up with some guys to take it to the next level. We tried radial racing. We were grudge racers for a bit. Tried the radial world. It takes a lot of money.
Yeah.
And now, we're going to chase the money of the no prep world. That's where it's at right now. That's what's hot. It was hot to me in the beginning. I've always been a street racer, and that's what I've always wanted. But when it's hard, it's just hard. The police is hard. The getting around the police is hard. Everybody finds out what you got or who you are. You can't even travel, get a race anymore. We were grudge racers. I wanted to pull up. We wanted to go to Chicago and unload, make one pass for $3,000 or $4,000 and come home.
Yeah.
But if you get into all the bickering and the arguing, and I don't want all that. So we tried radial grudge racing, going down south, doing that world. But as soon as people find out, and evolution of parts, you got to keep up. If you can't keep up with these, if you don't have a billet small block and you're running another small block, well, he's probably got one.
Yeah.
You got to keep up. We just couldn't afford it. So we're going to get back more to the street side of it and the no prep side, and kind of pick and choose where we go.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. Like, I've been a little bit of a fly on the wall when we first kind of started this thing. Like you've been in this world longer than we have, and when we entered, I knew who you were, right? And I knew that you street raced and all those things. And it's cool that you've been in it for so long. What do you like as it's cycled through its stages, right? What do you think the major stages have been, or like, I don't know, like how do you think it's changed? Like, I know you kind of talked about the grudge race side of stuff, and one thing for me, because Heath that we race with, he's an OG grudge guy. People really don't realize that about Heath. But like when it says NT on the window, it used to mean something. And frankly, we've got soft over the years. So I'd love to hear your thought on like how we've got to where we're at today.
Yeah, it's been through so many phases, and I feel like a lot of the, it's nothing against bracket racing, but there's guys out there that don't want to do that want to that want to have fast heads-up hot rods but don't fit a class.
Yeah.
And that's what – and honestly, a lot of people said grudge racing was – I don't feel this way, but grudge racing was for the slower guys that couldn't compete in a class.
Yeah.
You can be as fast or slower as you want to be as a grudge racer. I feel like some of the grudge racers, though, are faster than the class.
Yeah, there's definitely,
There's an elite group of guys that don't fall into that, and there's guys that grudge race that just can't compete in a no-time class or can't compete in X275 or Pro 275. I mean, there's Pro 275 cars, out there grudge racing now. But you do we've watched the vicious cycle of drag racing, and every few years it's the new thing. The radials was the big thing. We all went for it.
Yeah.
All of us did. We were trying to get in where we fit in. I was running no time small block at the time. After we grudge raced, I was like, well, we'll just go ahead and compete.
Do the shootouts
Against guys that didn't grudge race with us. Found out that you got to have some serious money to compete there too. They've got the best. They're gonna find every limitation of every rule. We slowed down from it, and as people were putting slicks back on, and there's obviously multiple no preps. There's the backside. There's guys getting back to the street. There's front side. There's even fast front side, mediocre front side.
Yeah, there's differences in a lot of it.
Terrible backside and mediocre backside. So there's so many variances now of the no prep world. I think that attracted a ton of people. If you're on a terrible backside, obviously the slower guys, that's going to be their draw. You go to the faster front side, guys that were radial racers, they couldn't compete. Now it's got a home.
Yeah.
Now that the money's getting so big, and the radial money's
petering out here,
we're going to have those guys. I mean, it's coming. People that don't think it is,
yeah,
it's coming. But I also think that we've got to preserve the street cars, the slower cars, people that can't afford it. There's guys sitting at home with cars in the garage that would love to race but can't enter a small tire shootout.
Yeah.
They're not going to come and waste $200, $300. There needs to be a home for them. That's what we've been working on last few months, actually. And I think next year we're going to push that side more. Small tires always will have a home no matter where we go.
Yeah.
But your elite are going to start taking control of that. We've got to back up a little bit.
I agree with that. So what, I always seen you as a racer, right, for a long time. I honestly, one of my favorite cars you have is that little black gangster car. I love that thing. It's cool. Had your old small block in it. And real simple cars, cool piece. And then, within the last couple of years, obviously I know you're promoting drag races. We just came from one of your drag races. What made you decide to get into the promotion side of it? That's something we dabble with too. It's very stressful. But so what made you do that?
I'd done it for so many years on the street, putting together illegal street races. And that's as stressful as putting on an event.
I bet it's more, really, but
I mean, the people that know and people that don't know, I had one Friday night. Luckily, we didn't have that many people. The crowd was small. But I'd been doing illegal street races since 99, 2000.
Yeah.
So I'd always been doing it. But I stayed very, very underground. I didn't want nobody to know what we were doing. You didn't talk about it. If you were in the know, you knew about it. But I didn't spread where we were going, what we was doing. And then just getting with Limpy, him traveling the world and flagging, and everybody's like, man, you ought to come out and start telling some of your story. Like, you've been doing this an extremely long time, and really been doing it week in and week out and traveling the country doing these illegal races that nobody even knows about. We didn't want people there with cameras. There was media groups always trying to reach out to me that knew what we done, but I didn't.
Yeah,
it was very, very strict.
Yeah.
No phones. If you pulled a phone out, we're asking you to put it up. I mean, we ran a really tight niche thing. And I seen we're all doing the same thing as the no prep promoters I'm just wanting to build something for these guys that don't have a place to race. And I seen that it was starting to already, in 2018, 2019, you already kind of seen, you guys were still class racing.
Yeah.
But in this world, we already seen it where it's going, and it's here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in 2018, 2019, like, let's see, I think we won limited 235 championship in 20. So, we were radio racing for those few years. But while we were radio racing, we were already putting on Cincy Street Nights,
Yep.
and we were putting on no preps. And, like the money that we were paying personally out at these no prep races was more than what we were running around like traveling and beating the brains off our car to win this championship, and we could have made more money staying at home if you're just talking about money, but we could have, I have 3 kids. So the thought of like not having to travel all the time and be gone for a week to race, like, man, that's a really awesome thought. Right. So that definitely was the transition for us where we thought about, man, we need to do this. And then it was just a matter of, it took us a little bit to kind of get a plan together and get a car. But I mean, if we would have had a car sitting here, we probably would have been no prep racing in 19,
Right.
or 20, and we're a little bit younger. So I think it takes, you're going to start seeing a lot of the older radio guys. They're already interested because there's already people that were radio racing that have came over, had success. They're like, well, we can do that too, So, I don't know. It's just interesting to watch the cycles of it, like, because even radio stuff, I mean, you'll agree, like when we first put 275s on stuff, there's pretty minimal rules because they're like, man, the tire's a limiting factor. We don't need a lot of stuff. And then what happened? Right.
It escalated really quick.
Yep. And then you've seen all the division of classes, all the things that we have, like, and it is, you're trying to create a rule set that, we ran limited 235. I love that class, man. We won the limited 235 championship with the stock block LS. It was a rod and piston, factory crankshaft engine. And we raced that motor for 2 years, which is pretty unheard of. And that motor was even competitive in Ultra Street. Like, we did well in Ultra Street with that same engine. So then when we went no prep racing, I promise you, Charlie Brown's got a lot more money in it than that white car ever thought about having.
Right,
So,
sure.
I tell people all the time, like, if you want something affordable, go limited 235 racing because it's a great class. But
Right.
yeah.
It's going to keep, I mean, the evolution of everything that I was talking about this morning on a post, but suspension, the engines, the electronics, the tire development, every aspect of it, it's going to keep evolving and evolving and evolving. And I knew it was going to do that, but I was such a street-minded dude that has always worked with less. I've always had less. That I had to come out and build a name and build a brand and get my face known from where we were still. People had heard my name, but really didn't know who I was.
Yeah, didn't know what you
They're
looked
like, oh yeah, I've heard about that dude. And that's what it has been for years. Everybody knew of Happy. So I had to come out and start doing some no prep events, pretty much based off of everybody else's rule set and everything else. But I really want to focus more on the grassroots, entry level, street race style cars. But it is so hard.
Yeah.
You could have a rule list a mile long, and we're going to have John Sears come in and tech it. And but I think we can also get a basic set of rules that are so strong and that are in black and white. If you don't follow them, you're out. And there's going to be some stuff that's going to be in place on these cars to keep the fast cars out.
Yeah. Well, and I think we wear a number of different hats in the industry, right? Like we have a race car shop that our primary deal now is selling parts. So we talk to people every day, trying to help them get their car to be better. And, we do the promotion side of stuff. But I think at the end of the day, like with the rule sets, the problem I've seen with the no prep stuff, and radial was kind of the same way until it kind of, let's say it grew up a little bit, is people build cars with no direction. So like they're just building a car and they're excited about it. And like, you know, like let's just take a Fox Body Mustang, for example. Like that's a great car out of the box, dude. Like a Fox Body Mustang until you go 430s is a perfect chassis, bro. Like that's what you should build. Like there's nothing better than that car for the money. But you know, a guy throw a set of composite doors on it, whatever. Like they'll spend money in places that they didn't really need to, and then now with the way that the turnover of this is happening, and you're trying to build rule sets and stuff, that's the problem. Is because you have, let's just say, you know, slower guys that have composite doors, that have a composite front end, or they've, you know, the I don't really like chassis rules. Like I'm talking, you know, if we're talking small tire, people were like, why don't you, like, because dude, an out of the box Fox Body is better than the old tube chassis bracket car that you bought.
Right.
So like you can buy an old tube chassis bracket car for pretty cheap, and it's a pretty capable platform.
Yep.
Right. And then now you're not, because there's so many people, I don't want a Mustang. Well, do you not want to win? You know?
Right.
But you know, like if you make a really in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is like you make a really chassis limited class. Well,
It's going to be a Mustang.
It's a Mustang. That's what X275 was for years. You know, like X275 was the Mustang. It was the Fox Body Mustang class.
Yeah.
Because of the rule set. Then when John opened it up, like, you know, and a lot of people get mad about that, but like, I think him letting traditional 4-link in was one of the best moves he's made, because now you see other cars that are more competitive, you know, like it, you know, Ron Rhodes is kind of always the asterisk with the leaf spring car, but that car was light, man. Like it's a light car, but
you know, when we was grudge racing with my Monte Carlo back in the day when he had the world record for the small block nitro still, we was right there.
Yeah.
Grudge racing. Of course, we couldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
But at one time, there was a point in time, and then he kept it, you know.
Yeah, Ron worked hard, man.
Yes, for sure. But we were pretty close, and I felt really good back then to be a mile an hour off.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, block world record.
Yeah, yeah, you should be proud of that.
I really was, but you know, we couldn't tell nobody. But yes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough, and I know exactly what you're saying, and we've been dealing with it.
Yeah,
and it's tough. And I've talked to you guys about it. I've talked to everybody about it. How can it be done? It's going to be tough, but and small tires I want them there. You know, I still want the open. It's just limited to a tire. That's always going to be there. That'll always be a class, but I'm trying to get a grassroots.
Yeah.
Class, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. No double entering, you know, we can't, even if your car fit it. That's what we've got to really, and it's tough. I've been writing stuff down and talking to other people and trying. I think we're going to figure something out.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like it's awesome that you're even, you know, you're putting you don't have to put this effort in, right? Like you just care about the sport. You want to see it go, and like, you know, people obviously get passionate on Facebook and stuff, but like my opinion is like you're out trying to figure out what's best for the sport. A lot of other people are just arguing. So like, and man, we're going to try stuff and it's going to be wrong.
Sure.
Right. But we have to pick up the pieces and go. And if we want this to stay around, you got to figure it out. You know, I think that, you know, if I'll pick on ourselves as racers, like I don't care to pay more to race. Right. Cause like that is our program, right? Like we've built our lives around race cars. Right. And in a lot of ways, that's not fair to the average guy. Right. Like this is what we do.
Right.
Right. So, you know, if we come to a race and it's, you know, even the thing about Charlie Brown, he's actually pretty hard to rule out besides the engine. But we can put a 484 motor in it and then, like, you know, it fits, but we're not going to do that. Right. We're going to always run the upper class, and we don't care to gamble a little bit. You know, like if it's a $500,000 entry, like we have a car that merits that, and I think that's what these more like gangster small tire cars. That's what's going to have to happen, is because we don't really, in my opinion, we don't really have quite enough car count to really divide it up the way that it really needs to be. So you almost have to cater to this the masses more, because really, you know, if you take your event from the weekend, what do you think? There was 5 cars that really could have won it.
Yeah,
Six.
Yep, in that area.
So, and there was 22 on the property.
Yep.
And everybody's not stupid, right? They could see where, what was about to happen. So really, like, but if you would have took those 6 out, you probably would have had 20 more.
Yep.
So, and then if those 6 would have paid $1,000 to enter, could have ran for more money than what the pot was.
Yep.
So I think it almost needs to be a hybrid of grudge racing. And
I even said that yesterday in a post. Let's make grudge racing great again, but we could do it as a class. X amount of car shootout. I think people would rather puppy kick and still buy in for $200 or $300 and know that they're, a lot of people don't have what we have, and I think it's different racers. It's just different racers. I've been in the world though where it didn't matter if it was $500 or $1,000 or, we've raced for crazy, crazy money off the trailer. But so many people don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
They're going to follow around wherever they can get in and spend $200 or $300 and try and win $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. So that's always going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's going to be really tough. I don't know.
It's a tough, it really is a tough conversation. And, like, again, like I talk to so many people every day building race cars, and it is frustrating when you talk to so many people every day about all these cars that get built. Like, I know how many rear-end housings we sell. I know all this stuff, right? And then you go to the racetrack, and I get, like, we ship parts all over America, even worldwide stuff. But, like, you go to the racetrack, you're like, where the heck's all these race cars that could be here?
Yeah.
Like, how do we fix that? And because and people might think we're wrong, but I don't think we are. There's really no shortage of race cars.
Not at all. Well, and when the no prep world started, it all started from street racing. It was to give the street racers a safe spot to do it in a controlled environment where it was safe. That was, when it really started. And for guys to run on worse surfaces that come from the streets that didn't want to run on glue. Back then, we could pull up to an event. There was 100, 115, 120 cars in small tire. Some of the biggest events in the world. Now those same events are down to 60. Before we know it, it's going to be down to 40. But when we started that, there was probably 70 on the property that could win out of 120. And it went to 50. And it went to 40.
Yeah.
You go to some of the big name no prep races right now on the backside, that's down to about 7 or 8 cars.
Yeah.
And all the other guys ain't showing up again. And I don't know what to do about it, but we're trying to fix it.
Yeah, and I think that, I think the backside's done the best job of it. A lot of those guys, there's some people that have some really nice equipment on the backside of the racetrack, but really, like I know Nick Taylor really well, and he raced his car, and then really the car that I liked the most was Johnny Cash, which is Colt's car. And that thing had stock torque boxes in it, an 8.8, and a pretty decent LS, it's like 370 cube or something with a good sized turbo on it. Like, that's about what everybody in the world's building.
Yeah.
Right. Just that Fox body Mustang 8.8 turbo S Power Glide. Probably the most reasonable combo in drag racing, in my opinion. And that thing won a lot, man.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good car, and because the backside of the racetrack really limits, you've effectively have taken out. Some people are like, well, now there are people with Hemis and stuff on the backside. Get it. But still, the ET range, the Hemi's probably beneficial, but because you can apply power all the way to the stripe, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can effectively go out and race and be competitive with
Sure.
a really basic combo. I mean, honestly, dude, I think we should have a Turbo LS Fox body class. That might be the answer.
I've even said that before. Like, really, I mean, I feel like that. There's a home for that too.
Yeah.
I mean, there really is.
Yeah.
But I love American muscle cars. You go to the tracks anymore, you don't see a Leaf Sprung 69 Camaro with a 406 and a plate kit.
Yeah.
They're gone. And those guys don't want to bracket race.
Yeah.
They've got clean cruiser style cars. So I'd like to build something more for that.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, the same set of rules, a Mustang with a decent turbo LS and an 8.8 that's stock suspension and everything else fits all the same rules. It would just come in there and
clean up.
Yeah. So it's really tough. We're trying to figure something out. We can't call it an American muscle class because a Ford Mustang, American muscle car.
Yeah.
But we're trying to come up with something. Like I said, small tire's not going anywhere. It's going to be there. The Elite's going to continue to be, at the top. There's going to be new guys. There's going to be radial cars. If people, I keep saying it, like they're watching. I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've even spoke to people.
Oh, yeah.
There is some serious racers out there that are watching and going to make the switch.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of my best friends in the world, I won't say his name, but like we talk every week about it. Yeah, we're even talking about putting them in our car and having another one. So like, because you see the game, right? You're like, when you go to Georgia, you get 5 qualifiers. You can concentrate on one car. It ain't no big deal. You got a bunch of qualifiers where then we're gonna start racing. But, when you go to an event and it's off the trailer and you only got one car's laptop you're looking at, that makes it, it's a little tougher.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to have a couple at least,
Exactly.
And that's kind of where it's headed. And you're right. Like radial racing's where we built our business.
Yep.
And yeah, they're going to keep coming, and what do you think about, so like, I know, like, I do think, and we've had this conversation, but we should have it on camera, like that there is a difference between no time and no prep. And I think that's really got a thing. I mean, I think you almost, as a promoter, like, I think the only way to fix it is almost if you're in the tower, what everybody runs. And people probably would get pissed off of that statement. But if you almost need a graduation system. With dirt bikes, like we tried to do this a couple years ago, and with your moto background, that was one of the things I loved about it was there was an A, B, and a C class.
Sure.
But that was not, you could, on motocross side stuff, dirt bikes, you could go buy a stock bike and a kid that was really good. Didn't matter if the bike was stock.
Yep.
It wasn't dictated by money. It was dictated by talent. And, with drag racing, you really can't do that because there is a lot of talent, right? There's people that are very, very good at what they do. But if they don't have the money, then they're not going to be, you just won't be successful. That's just the hard truth of it, So it would be awesome if there was a better way to have a more skill-based deal, like an A, B, and a C class. Or, as a promoter, if you, and really people probably disagree with this statement, but every class, if you're creating a rule set, you also are creating an index. Whether you are publicizing,
sure,
you're not publicizing that ET number, but as a promoter, you have an idea of an ET range you want it to be in. So I think if you knew exactly how fast people were going, that would give you the ability to move them up or down. And I think that could be a great fix.
We had talked about, and it didn't make sense to me at first. Me and a few guys spoke about it. If you had 64 cars, all your first 32, you put everybody together and draw. Now, all your first 32 winners are A. All your losers would be B. All the A's run each other. No, actually, all your first round losers would be C. They would be C. You put all your A's together, all your top 32 guys that won, the loser of them would be B. You put all your C's together, that was first round losers, and run them together, all the losers would be D. You'd have 4 classes out of a 64 car shootout. And then your top racers would be A's, B's, C's.
Yeah.
And that was brought up in a group chat with a lot of promoters, and we were discussing something like that. It would be a lot to maintain, a lot to keep up with, and a lot to deal with, but it would make for more competitive racing.
Yeah.
It gets competitive down when it starts getting to the quarters.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the racers that come and support every week, there's still some that think they have a chance.
Yeah.
But most of them are coming just to race.
Well, and too, the beauty of the chip draw, is, it's not like you're going and qualifying. So, like, man, the 2 fastest guys can run each other first round. So, like, and I think the chip draw, honestly, has saved a little bit of the longevity of it.
Sure.
Because if you get lucky chips, like, you can have a car that really, was a pretty fast car, but he got good draws and somehow squeaked his way to the semis, or maybe even made it to the finals. And, that keeps that guy going back. Like, all he needs really is that if you get one lucky chip draw a year that you've got pretty far in the race, that's probably enough to keep someone coming back.
It does a lot. I've seen it happen. I mean, I've seen that happen a few times. There's racers that travel almost every week, and they've had some really good draws at some races, and I've seen one guy win the whole event. He still had a good car.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a top-tier car, and I was pulling for that guy all day.
Yeah.
Even running the race. It was my event. But I've still got my guys that I'm like, man, I'd really like to see him win.
Yeah.
He puts everything into it. Don't have a lot. He don't have the crazy parts. He won an event we did this year at KD.
That's cool.
Really proud of him. Like, it's a family effort. They put all their time and money into it. And he's not your favorite. He's never been anywhere he goes, but he won KD. It was huge. It was the biggest win.
Yeah, I read. That was awesome.
It was awesome.
That was awesome. Well, and I think, too, that kind of goes to, I think as racers, we don't want to hear this, but there needs to be a little more racer accountability of, like, if you see a promoter trying to do something, even if you fit the rules, I think that you should respect that, because they are trying to, on my promoter hat, we want cars there,
sure,
right? And we want to pay fair. We want you to have a place to race. We want everybody to have a place to race. But, like, if you see someone trying this and like, man, I'm really like an A-level car, like, I fit that, but I'm not, probably shouldn't go. I think we have to be able to put our ego to the side and be like, man, what's better for the sport? And I don't know if everybody will do that. Like,
right.
It probably won't happen. But if we want this, we're in such a cool bubble of time right now.
Yep.
And if we want to preserve that, we got to work together. It can't
try.
It can't just be all on you, or
right.
Pick your promoter, right? It can't just be all on that team's job to figure out where you should race, right? I think you already know. You know how fast your car is. You know how many laps you make. You know all these things. So, yeah, I think it's going to take everybody kind of working together, which, again, I don't know if that happened. But
right. How do you feel about racers trading chips on a chip draw event?
Should never trade chips.
So you like the way that it's random, that somebody else draws the chip? I
don't want to have, I don't care to draw the chip out of the bucket. That means nothing to me. If I'm at your event, I trust you, right? you pair the chips. That's one less thing I have to worry about. I'm back at the car. We're doing stuff with it. I really don't care, man. I'm never gonna send a representative up there to watch because I'm at your event, bro. Like I already trust you. But that has to be a mutual.
You wouldn't
trust.
be there if you didn't.
I wouldn't be there if I. Yeah. So whatever chip you give me, that's it. I think in the chip draw, the way the chips fall to me is fate at that moment, and you cannot look how messy life gets if we try to mess with fate. Like, don't trade them, dude. I don't even like the class racer to me. Like, we do take call outs sometimes because Heath is more of a grudge racer.
Sure.
If it was up to Brad and I, we probably never would. We would just always draw out of the bucket because we like that. I just love the randomness of whoever you're going to get. But, you know, everyone, like this weekend, we accept a call out, you know, and that happens every once in a while because Heath loves it. You know, we're a 3-man team. But yeah, I don't think once you get a chip, you cannot switch. Like that is that chip has been assigned to you. And I know people do it, right? But I just think it's not classy to the promoter. I think it shows a little lack of respect for what they're trying to do. So
I agree. And that's been an issue too. You know, that's been an issue a little bit with people trading chips and stuff. And I think Jeff Thomas is the one who come up with the idea of one person writing all the names down, pulling them out, you know, on the first chips, first pair left lane, second chips right lane, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It takes it out of the racer's hands,
yeah,
you know, to trade and stuff. And we've adapted that. We've changed a few things that we want to do, and I think that's the best way to draw chips. It's most fair. Kenzie or me don't care who race each other. We want to see good competition. This weekend, your draw, that was awesome. Come out of the trailer and race, you know, a car like that. I think those type of pairings are awesome.
That's what makes the chip draw great.
Exactly.
Is like, man, I really like Logan. Me and him are friends. You know, if you don't know this, we just got back from Happy's event. We raced Logan Duvall first round, which I think that either our car or Logan's car could have won that race, could have won the event. And because of the fate of the chips, we raced first round, and it was a damn good drag race.
It was awesome.
Right off the trailer. And like, that's what people pay to see, though.
That set the pace of the event, too. The crowd, as you all went down through there, that set the rest of the tone for the evening. Everybody was on the edge of their seats, the edge of the wall, wherever they were standing.
Yeah.
It was an amazing race, you know, and to see you two go down fairly early, too, and make a lap, nothing crazy happened. That was unreal.
Yeah, it is like, I tell Brad this all the time, dude. Like, I'll go up and I'll watch. Like, I don't watch that much because we're doing stuff. You know, Brad and Heath get to watch, and the boys get to watch quite more than I do, right? I'm in the car. And I'll go up and watch, like, True Street or something. Like, dang, them dudes are flying. And I'm like, man, we just ran, like, 3/10 faster than that. Like, I can't comprehend. Like, I love going back and watching our own races. I'm like, holy crap, dude, Charlie Brown was riding. Like, that thing was rolling.
Yeah.
But I can't, like, that's just, I'm in there just, you know, going down through there. And it is cool. Like, it's crazy how fast we can go on those surfaces. Like, Martin Conley, he's one of my best friends in the world. He's came to a couple of no preps with us, right? He's a radial guy, radial champion. I mean, elite racer that honestly does it on a budget. That's a whole other podcast in of itself. But we went to gosh, it was the race that you did at Kentucky Dragway last year. We drew Boost 12 first round. We were having some drivability problems with the car down track. We figured that out after, but we walked out there as a bare scrape, you know, concrete racetrack. But Martin's like, Brad, how fast are you going to try to go? Like, how fast are you going to try 60 foot? You know, Brad's kind of walking around. He's like, I'm going to put like a 122, 123 in it. And Martin's like, it ain't going to go. And he said, watch. And, you know, I let go of the button. I don't know if you remember that race or not, but man, we were out. and Joey would agree, me and him were buddies. That was our race. Like, we were about to beat him, and then whatever happened. But like, I still don't even. I go out there and I'm like, Brad, are you sure? Like, it's gonna go that fast on that? Like, yeah, it'll go right down it.
It's incredible.
It is. It's crazy. What I don't get it, and I get it. I know why, but like, it is. People. I went back and I watched. I actually watched. Do you remember the first time that MPK happened?
Yep.
At Bristol, right? There was some small tire cars in that field, big tire cars, and I watched that whole event again. And, that track wasn't scraped, I don't think. It was just, they left it.
Right.
They didn't do anything to it. And man, they were slipping, sliding. They were talking about how it was slicker than the street. All these things. And now, like, to look like what we're running off the trailer, and Hardinsburg's bumpy, dude. Like,
it's rough.
It's a rough track. And to know what we ran off the trailer, even 3 years ago, if you would have told someone that, they're like, you are nuts. There's no way that they'll go that fast.
There's some people who probably still don't believe it. If you told them today, even with the technology and the parts and the equipment you guys have, there's probably still people that wouldn't believe it.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
especially like our car's heavy, dude. Like, it's a heavy 4-door nitrous car. Like, yeah, I agree. They wouldn't believe what it runs, So, and that's the thing. We can't make, like, we like the front side race. We probably won't do any backside stuff. That's just kind of the niche that we fell into. But
sure.
you really can't make it any worse than it is.
No. I mean, we've tried. We tried Turkey Bash last year with scrubbing it with chemicals and got as much rubber off as possible. You guys come off the trailer and went right down through there. I mean, no big deal. It drove right down through there, and probably the numbers exactly you guys put in it.
Yeah.
We can't really make the tracks any worse. I don't like the idea of making them worse. I just think you leave them as they are. You can scrape them the day before or even scrape them the morning of. Scraping 9 times out of 10 helps the track.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does for people that know. Some people's like, are you scraping it? They think it's going to be so bad, but it's not. It actually helps.
Yeah.
But I just like leaving them alone. Just leave the tracks alone.
And honestly, I think it's worse that way. Like, we went to we did MPK Bowling Green this year, and they didn't scrape it. They left it alone, and that surface was way worse than when we were there last year, and they scraped it. So, because our racetrack, Brandon Mass Traction. If you ever heard Brandon talk about a racetrack, it's like he's talking like about a living, breathing thing. He's talking about all the layers of the rubber and all this stuff. And if you don't maintain that racetrack and take it down and do this, that rubber gets too thick, it gets gummy. There's all these things that happen. And really, like, I think we are, to your point, I think we're better off leaving them alone, not touching them. I think, it almost works better that way for what we're trying to do. When we first started Cincy Street Nights, dude, I remember, I think, so it was our second year. Our first, we did it one year, then we had a break, and then we did it again with the boys once they owned the racetrack. So it was our first, like, no prep Cincy Street Nights, right? Dude, Brandon had it was when Brandon Mass was at Edgewater. He had like a radial prep test day, like, I don't know, a week before or something. So we get down there happy. And this place, we're like, oh my gosh, like, there's no way we're going to make this bad. And we're scraping, we're scrubbing, we're rolling it down with a water hose. I'm pulling e-brakes on my Honda trying to, like, I mean, dude, we're throwing sand on it. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, it was a mess. But and then we scraped it, and we've always scraped it.
Yep.
But I will tell you this, the reason we scrape it is more for the mentality than it is for the benefit of making the track worse.
Right.
People want to think that you've done something to even it out.
Right.
And that's why we scrape. I think it makes it better, but
it does.
We can't say, I know it makes it better, but it's the mentality of it.
Well, you were saying something too about no time and no prep. No prep, just adapted, no time.
Yeah.
It's two totally different things. Do you think, what would it do if we turned the boards on at a no prep event? Just at a front side, decent front side, Cincy Street nights. We like the boards one night. Like the board nationals. Do it once a year.
I would love it.
Season.
I would love it. And we sell race car parts.
Exactly.
And Speed sells race car parts.
Sure.
And Win It Around sells race car parts. But I do think, I think the people that are really in the know, they pretty much know what everybody's running. But the average spectator doesn't. And I think it'd be really cool at US 60 because like Cincy Street Nights, it's our event. I get that, but Cincy Street Nights is fast. It's a really, really good surface. They take really good care of the track besides when we're there, right? So it's just not a surface that can be slowed down. We've tried. It's literally the perfect surface to go fast on a slick. Right. So I think if you were to prep a track for a slick, that's what you would get. That's what it is. But like Hardinsburg or War in the Woods or, a Thornhill or a KD, something like that, I think it would be a blast for the fans to know how fast these cars are going down through there because they won't believe it.
I don't think so either. But I think there's some guys out there that's scared to show how slow their cars are.
I agree. Yeah.
I really do. And I hate that.
Yeah.
But I think there's some guys that's scared. I've had some racers tell me because, I've openly talked about turning the boards on, and I would like to do it at the end of the year and do it once. This wouldn't be an every, year thing. And then at the next year, see the difference.
Yeah.
And
you could really see the progression of it
in a year.
Yeah.
On 365 days. And if we would have done that 4 or 5 years ago to today,
oh, it'd be awesome to really see. We know, but to really see it
to see it for the fans to know.
Yeah,
there's so many fans that don't have a clue. I get people all the time. Well, do you think that guy went 550? Or do you think And I'm just throwing numbers out there. But can these cars run in the fours? And just kind of some of them can, and depends on where we're.
Yeah.
I got to go through the whole explanation, but if they could see it at certain places and then see the difference in places, at KD. Compared to another track, the difference is substantial.
For a half a second.
Substantial. And you always have the guys, too. There was guys that come out of town that raced at KD this year. How fast can cars go? I said, well, I feel like they can run between this and this. Oh, there ain't no way, we can run faster than that. Well, it didn't happen. He couldn't, there was a couple of guys who just couldn't figure the surface out. But if people really knew, I want to do it. I've talked about it.
Well, I would like to do like a that or like a home run derby. Like we have a night, like let's just say you're at Hardinsburg. It takes I wouldn't want to do it at Edgewater because the surface is just too.
Take an outlaw track.
An outlaw track, it's $5,000 to win the fastest time that goes down, and you have this long to do it. We're gonna have a party for 5 hours. You each get 3 licks or whatever that number is, and then the fastest ticket at the end of the night wins.
I'm in.
I think it'd be really fun,
I'm in.
Well, and I think what the average drag racer misses about all this is, and people are probably going to, drag racing is boring if it all goes right.
Yeah.
If 2 cars go down the racetrack, and, if it's a really tight race,
it's exciting.
That's really exciting, right? But the average whatever is boring, right? And we will all want to race for good money.
Yep.
If you actually think about this, we are in the entertainment business.
Sure.
The racer, if you have a race car that you want to win money with, you are in the entertainment business.
Without a doubt.
So you need to be interacting with fans. You need to take the time to do that. You are trying to put on the best show possible because, sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them, but you are getting paid to put on a show. If you think that you're getting paid just to be the fastest car down the racetrack, then you need to go grudge race.
I'm glad you're speaking of this because I got another question for you in a minute.
Okay.
This is leading up to,
But
That's perfect.
yeah, like we are entertainers. If you are racing for a purse, you are an entertainer. If you have two cars going on the racetrack at the same time that have money on it, you are now funding your own pot, and you are grudge racers, and it doesn't matter if anybody's there.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Well, how would you feel if it got down to 4 guys in semifinals or just 2 in the finals? They're running for whatever, $5,000, $10,000. That was the pot. And they decide not to race. What's your feeling on that?
I think you should race. That's my.
Is that the end of the? I mean, you said
We're entertainers.
Entertainer.
Yeah, and I think I will say that I've learned. I may have not had the same opinion until I put on events.
Sure.
Now we've done Cincy Street Nights for 4 years or something like that. And our own event, we pay really fair money. Like we've done 10 grand free entry. You do stuff like that too, but I'll just talk about us. We think we did 10 grand free entry this year. We did $150 or $200 entry for 10 grand.
Yeah.
This limited 235 thing we're doing, our limited 28s is $100 entry, $2,500 to win, $1,000 runner up, $250 and we don't have the card count to do that.
Yep.
How does that happen? Because the people that come through the gate, and we have people ask me, who's your sponsors? Well, Summit helped the racetrack out a little bit, but Cincy Street Nights itself has no sponsors.
Right.
Because I didn't feel like dealing with people.
Really, none of us do. None of us that do this really don't.
No. Well, and you're asking people, if you're talking about sponsorship, like you're asking people that honestly, you like outside perspective, you think all these race shops and these different things are making all this money. They're not. Like they're mom and pop shops. So like if they give a couple $100s to a race, like you think, oh, it's not a big deal. But it's a big deal.
It's huge.
And you can't ask people to do it all the time. But the people that come in, yes, they're there for a show. So like my opinion on it is as long as that thing's got oil pressure, I'm sending it down the racetrack. And I get that like, oh, it's, there's different sketchinesses of it. But throughout the night, if you give me a buy run, am I going to take it?
Yes.
Why? Because there's money at the end of the night that I can use that data for. And you better believe that I'm going to load something in that thing that hasn't been down that racetrack yet because I don't have anybody beside me.
And that's a race. That's the racer coming out of you.
Yeah, I got it. I have to take that. And the other thing for me, like when we went to Hardisburg, I had never been down that racetrack, dude. Right. Never once. Charlie hadn't been down it. I hadn't been down it. Like it's a brand new deal for us. So, and my time is limited, man. I have family, business, all this stuff. If I'm at that racetrack, it's almost a 3-hour ride for us. If we're in the finals, I'm going to take that lap, not only for today, but for tomorrow.
And then the next week, and the next week, and the next one. That's just another lap on it.
It's another lap that I didn't have to pay extra for.
Yep.
I'm already there. Like I want the data. So, and if the car's broke, that's one thing. I mean, man, we've done stupid stuff
just to make one more pass.
Oh my gosh, dude, the dumbest things. I mean, I've
soldered up nitrous jets and smashed the plugs, and like I've done crazy stuff with 6 cylinders.
Yeah,
to fire it and take the beam.
Yeah, and I get like everybody has their own opinion about that, but I think being that event promoter has taught me something. And if we forget that we're entertainers, then we're not going to run. We're going to turn into NHRA. And like my dad, I have an NHRA racer. I don't know the exact numbers, but like when he goes to an NHRA event, his entry fee is $250 to $300. And it pays out about $1,200 to win. And they'll have over 100 cars in this class. So do the math of how much money they just made. But when you go to his race, there's not one person in the stands. There might be a few, but because the circus is paying for the circus. Right now, the spectators is paying for our circus. We're the performers. If we forget that we're performers, then there's no longer going to be people that will pay us.
I agree 100%. And I don't want to see it continue to happen.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of instances. I just don't want to see it I mean, even if you just put something in the car and drove down through there,
Yeah.
it's better than nothing.
That's why nitrous cars are so cool, Happy, because flames come out of it. If we had a field full of nitrous cars, I mean, man, we might sell some.
Be so much better.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the sparklers, it'd be way better, man.
And I agree. But, and then, how can you do that though too? Like we've thought about having a nitrous only type class with its own rule set in the no prep world. We've talked about having a boosted class, an all steel, all glass boosted and nitrous class, but I don't think there's enough cars yet. There's not enough people. If you did it, would they come? Possibly, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
You've got to build it back up. But I think the elite is going to come in, and I'm worried that just 28 no prep is going to get to a huge level here.
Well, and honestly, it already has. We went to, Charlie's a fast hot rod man. Like it's fast, and we went out to Outlaw, Oregon, and dude, we got our teeth kicked in. Like we came back with a different plan. Like we're gonna put together a whole nother car, because I'm not saying we've reached the limit of how fast we can go with what we have, but we're pretty close. So like, there has to be a step up, right? If we want to go out and do stuff like that, like,
right.
Dude, I've never seen so many billet Hemis with Pro Chargers on them. There was probably, 20 or 30 cars there with, some sort of big block, or mostly Hemis with a big old Pro Charger hanging off of them, in like 60 car field.
Yep.
You're like, this is serious. And like, dude, our number that we ran off the trailer would win most everything around here, depending on who's there, but like pretty stout number.
Yep.
And we drove all the way back to Kentucky.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it is. It's crazy. And it's just going to keep, we're seeing it happen now. It's just going to keep getting more and more and more. I mean, I don't know if there is a limit. I remember when guys were going 440s, RVW, and we was like, how much faster can they go? Here they are a second faster now, down the road. So, I know it's just going to keep evolving and keep getting better and keep getting faster. But I don't want to see it lose its spark.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
No, and I think everybody that's really trying to keep it, like, I think we started to lose our spark last year, and like it's starting to dwindle down this year even, because it does. It's, for the average guy, like I get the whole, like, just work harder. Like I get it, man. But like myself, like I did, like Brad and I, we started this shop because we wanted a race car. We sacrificed a lot of things to do this, and, put us in the position where we could race car, right? We built a whole business just so that we could have a fast race car. And that's the honest truth of it. But now, like, we're to a point where, like, I really don't think it's fair that the average guy races us.
Right.
It's not fair. Like, it's just not. Like, we have access to so much more than what the average person does. Like, man, like I told you, even if Charlie's a stock Firewall, pretty much a full frame car, it's all steel, it's all glass.
It fits everything, no matter really what I could do.
You can't rule the car out.
No.
But that's where it would come to the common respect of, like, if I, and we'll do this, but like, if we're coming to your race, I'm racing the highest class, because that's where we should be, regardless of what car you put us in. Our skill level merits that, and It's just going to take all of us to have that opinion.
I wish others just felt the same way. I do. And it's hard. It's hard, but I think guys are always going to try and get into the best class where they have the best chance of winning, obviously.
Yeah, and that is like, that's the nature of a drag racer, is looking at rule sets and this and that. And that's, to that point, a lot of these guys, it's really crazy to me, the people that are coming up in this world that don't know a lot of these OG guys that really laid a foundation for them. They have no idea who they are. Like Jason Waterman goes with us quite a bit, Cheeseburger. And it's like, I feel honored that he's standing behind our race car, right? He is an insane asset. But the amount of people that don't know who Jason Waterman is and what he's done in this world is like, it's crazy to me.
Wow.
And, so I don't know, that group of people though is now starting to come, and like, they don't understand how that group of people dissects rules. Like, even like our own race, one of the rules that we have in our limited 28s class is, factory bore space only. That's what kicks our car out. Okay. Well, Cheese is like, that doesn't kick your car out. And I'm like, okay, tell me why, Cheese. And I knew what he was going to say, but I just wanted to hear him say it. He's like, it's, your motor's 5-inch bore space. That's what a factory Cadillac is. You're good. But like, most people wouldn't look at it that way. Like Cheese is like, no, it's legal. That's 5 inches factory. That's a Cadillac motor. You know what I mean? That's he was talking about.
But that's real.
It's true. So like back in the day, like what a lot of the classes were, and I'm sure you remember this, was no progressives in the nitrous cars. So when you turn on a relay, there is a little bit, I forget that numeric, or I can't talk, but how long that takes when you flip a relay. There's a delay in it. So Cheese figured out how many relays he would need to make the nitrous come in when he wanted. So he'd have 6-7 relays in there, and then he would, depending on how the track was how many relays was in it.
Turn on.
Yeah, like, and then that came, I know a lot of people probably know that trick now, but, like, those guys are built different.
Yeah.
They think through it, like, those are hard people to beat, man.
Yeah. You get guys like that over into the no prep world. It's going to get fast. It's going to get.
And that's the hard part of the rule set side of it is like, and that's the part that I kind of enjoy is like, you do make these limited rule sets where you get people that think like that. And then, yeah, dude, the cream's always going to rise to the top. There's no way around it, but yeah. I don't know how like Charlie Bennett or, if you look at John Sears, if you don't know who John is, he's the father of X275 Ultra Street. Like, I mean, he's done that for a long time now. It's crazy that he's kept it going as long as he has.
Yeah. And Charlie, the way he's breaking up classes, just picking people to put in their own class, but it's working. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody shows up, gets a constant car count. I look up to him with that too. I work with him quite a bit on it, and we try and pick where people need to be. But that's tough.
Yeah.
Then you got feelings involved. Well, you put me in this class, you put me in that class. Then at the end of the night, it all panned out.
Yeah.
It's actually where they needed to be. We're not just looking at the car. We're looking at the driver experience, the team, everything. Putting it all together. There may be a really fast car, but the person's only been driving a year.
Yeah.
Needs to be in a slower class. And it's been working.
Yeah.
The past couple of years, it's worked. So I don't know.
Well, and what's your closing thoughts?
I don't know.
Well, so for you personally, what do you want to do next year? What race wise, promoting wise, where do you want to go?
The biggest thing I'm working on now is to really try and develop a class. I want another class. I want to, and see how it works. I still want to continue to do everything we're doing now. Small tire, hard tire. We had a great turnout in radial. It was no different than 28s. It's just you had to be on a radial. I think 15 or 16 showed up at KD. It was awesome race. They were small tire cars, but it just had a radial. I like to see more no prep motorcycles because I have that background, so we've been trying to add no prep bikes, but I know it's tough, but I'm going to work on it all winter. I'm going to work on it with other people, but I do want to have another class, and I've wrote up some rules and we're running it now, but we're really going to revise it.
Yeah.
You nitpick it. And then 24, I want it in stone and just try and have another class. But I want to get back racing. I'll have to not do as much of this, pick and choose where I go. Because, I mean, this year we had 44 events to be at. So it's
a lot.
And a lot of weekends we had too.
Yeah.
Go somewhere on Friday night, go somewhere on Saturday. So it's turned into a full-time job, just with the merch. But then if people know we're coming, then they'd like to have us have our eyes and hands on the event itself, just with the chip drawing, organization, and tech cards and all that, because everything seems to run pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's a great service. I mean, you guys do a fantastic job of it. And like I love when you come to our events, just to have the merch booth and just, have another set of eyes on stuff. Because, dude, goofy stuff happens at the racetrack.
All the time.
It just does. So it's nice to have, someone standing behind you, right? When you have to make a difficult call or whatever, it's really nice to have that. So, and I mean, in my closing thought, Kentucky's lucky to have you. The racers are lucky to have you, that you have, you honestly, you've put your car to the side. You drag your family, not drag, Pac-Man loves cold, but and Kenzie does too. But like, you guys travel in an RV basically around and help all these races. And I know you're getting rich, so like, it's people, and if you see him out, like, tell him thank you. You're like, that's what needs to happen. Don't argue with him. Like, I don't know. Like I get like, people yell at me when we're at the track, but like, when we're doing our own races, but like, I mean, I really get offended if people yell at you and Charlie. Like,
well, I feel the same way with that too. I mean, with any promoter anywhere, I think we don't have to be doing it, so there wouldn't be the show. I think it's the most disrespectful thing you can do. We're really trying.
Yeah.
Like you say, we're not getting rich. We're not doing it for wealth. I love it. And I want to keep the integrity of the sport. I want Pac-Man to race. He's 8.
Yeah.
I want this to be.
You want him to be here when he can get in the car.
I want the no prep world to still be here. There's stuff that's happened in the past that's gone now. And this is, I think, some of the best times drag racing we've ever had.
Yeah, the new people, all that stuff. And I think that as long as we remember that the circus has to be the circus.
Yeah.
And then the ringleader has to be the ringleader. And, you're no different than P.T. Barnum out there. Like, my girls love that, the Greatest Showman movie. But, like, the man was a genius. He was out there with his hat, all that stuff. But every time we go to an event, that promoter is that guy with that hat.
Sure.
And some of them are really great at it, and some of them are in the middle, and some of them are terrible. But that promoter is trying to preserve this show however they're seeing fit to do it. And again, they're going to make bad choices, they're going to make great choices. But if we want to keep racing for money, which we all do, you got to learn to trust people like you.
Exactly. I appreciate it too. Like, I mean, that means a lot. Appreciate what you guys do with Cincy Straight Nights, and we love being up there with you guys. We love traveling. We love just being a part of it. I felt welcomed. I've been getting a lot of eyes on me lately with some stuff that's happened, but we're going to continue to work through it, and I want to continue to make this happen in some of the best events across the country. Our main goal is to do a cash days in all 50 states, a legitimate cash days. Before I leave this place, I want to be in all 50 states everywhere. I think that'd be pretty legendary. It's never been done. But I need Limpy. Limpy is Cash Days. That's his name. He started that. But that's like a dream of mine. That's the ultimate goal, is to have outlaw track. Even a track that's been closed down for 5 or 6 years. If we could come in and just get access to it, how cool is that?
Well, that's the jewel, man. Like I was, and we'll pack it up after this thought, I guess. That's the jewel. Like I want to, like, I really don't want a street race, right? Like I shouldn't say I don't want to. I think I would love to do it at some point, but like, I love that, that track that's bare, that's a real track, like, or however long it has it. But that's a really cool thing. And the other thing that's really cool about it is nobody's been down it. So like when you get, and I think that would be my appeal of street racing, is the fact when you roll in, it's a level playing field. Like nobody else has been down the surface. You haven't been down the surface. You're when you let go of the button the first time, that other guy's figuring it out at the same time you are. And, you know, round by round, you're figuring it out. You're not going up against anybody that has a bunch of passes on this particular service. You know, I think that's cool, man. And if you can find those little tracks to do that on, man, that would be really fun.
I'll try.
So, but, well, man, thanks for sitting down and hanging out.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, I have like a lot more questions and stuff that we'll do it. I think we'll have you on again. I want to talk about, we just never got to it. I want to hear some OG street racing stories, some of the good ones. I want to hear more about that. So yeah, we'll have to have you on again.
I ain't that far.
Yeah.
I ain't that far away.
Yeah. So if you haven't, Happy does have a YouTube channel now. He's been trying to build that. So just support your local street racer. And then he's you know, he started on Facebook like you know, everybody his age does, and then now he's moved over to the YouTube. So yeah,
I'm trying.
Yeah. So make sure you go and like his page and do all that stuff. And yeah,
appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys.